Hi, my name is Norma, and I'm 19 years old. It has been almost a year since I moved away from my parents, and I have to admit that I was very proud to be so independent. But a little while ago, something happened, and afterward, I really wanted to go back to my parents' house. My story will be about the person who's influenced my view of life so much. I will tell you about Elijah, my boyfriend. After I finished school, I decided to take a break from my studies. You see, I'm from a little town in one of the mountainous states. I love my town, but I felt really bored there. I'd always dreamed of seeing the world, as the saying goes, and the internet was not enough for me. I wanted to travel across the country. My parents were not happy with this decision, but they did not object. They even gave me some money to start out. But for some reason, I went through it too quickly, and it was gone within the first month of my independent life. So my plans were in jeopardy. I had to settle down on the outskirts of Los Angeles and get a temporary job. I couldn't afford to rent an apartment by myself, so I shared it with a girl named Laura. She was nice, and we got along really well. And after a while, Elijah came into my life. He just approached me on the street in Los Angeles when I was walking home from work one evening and started a conversation. Of course, usually I tended to keep my distance from strangers trying to pick me up on the street, but this time it was different. Maybe because of Elijah's manners. He wasn't intrusive. He was interesting to talk to. He was polite. He respected my personal space. I probably just liked how Elijah looked. He was handsome and well-dressed, so I didn't hesitate much when he asked for my phone number, and soon we started to go out together. Elijah was 8 years older than me, and this fact was almost the only thing I knew about my boyfriend for sure. For some reason, he was pretty reluctant to talk about himself. Instead, he just asked me questions about my life, so I didn't pay much attention to this strange fact. And later, I even found the aura of mystery surrounding Elijah amusing. I saw it as some kind of game. Also, I didn't try to search for information about my boyfriend on the internet. Elijah claimed that he wasn't present on any social network and generally treated him negatively. He also never showed me his house. He only promised to one day take me there, as he used to say. He lived in an apartment rented by the company he worked for, so there was nothing interesting about it. We maintained this relationship for a little while. I was totally content and even maybe happy. But it turned out that all this was only an illusion that I just blindly believed in. The day when my heart was broken started out like many other day. Elijah asked me to meet him at my favorite coffee shop. I was expecting a pleasant, romantic evening, but Elijah didn't even try to buy time. He warned me right away that he was hoping to avoid a scene and to keep good memories about all the good days we had together. And then he told me he was getting married. And as you might have already guessed, I wasn't the lucky person he was going to marry. I was absolutely shocked. So I didn't care about the good memories of the days we spent together that Elijah wanted to keep. I burst into tears and ran out of the coffee shop. Since then, I never saw Elijah, at least in person. I was depressed. I hardly had the mental or physical strength to get up in the mornings and to go to work, and I spent all my spare time in my room. It may sound funny, but it was exactly like that. For whole days, I stayed in my pajamas, hugging a bucket of ice cream and watching some stupid movies on my laptop. I woke up from this state only when my roommate Laura told me that we needed to have a serious talk. She had learned something about Elijah. Elijah frequently visited our apartment, so Laura knew him well enough to recognize my ex on the street, for example. This was an important detail because it meant that Laura was telling me the truth. Laura worked in a mod beauty shop in Los Angeles. She's a really good manicurist. One of her clients was a girl named Alexandra. Laura had known her for quite a while. She had her phone number, and they were close enough to chat about everything that was on their minds. When Alexandra came into the shop in her second trimester, unable to hide her pregnancy anymore, Laura congratulated Alexandra. And she, in response, showed off an expensive ring. Alexandra was engaged. The last time Alexandra visited the beauty shop, Laura witnessed a phone call that shocked her. When the phone rang, the picture in its screen was of my Elijah. Alexandra put him on the loudspeaker, so Laura heard his voice. It was definitely him. But that was not the end of the story. Alexandra addressed Elijah with the words, "Yes, my love." Do you understand? It looked like Alexandra was this Elijah's fiance. Laura and I also tried to calculate the timeline, and it turned out that when Elijah and I were dating, Alexandra was already pregnant. At first, I felt confused, and I didn't know what to do. I both wanted and did not want to contact Alexandra in order to tell her everything. On the one hand, I hoped that this whole story with Elijah would be forgotten, so I had no desire to get involved in it again. On the other hand, I wanted Elijah's fiance to find out the truth about the guy she was going to live her life with. Besides, to be honest, I wanted to get revenge on Elijah for what he had done to me. I asked Laura for Alexandra's phone number and made an anonymous call, suggesting that we meet at the same coffee shop where Elijah dumped me. I told Alexandra that I had to tell her something very important about her fiancé, and she seemed to be intrigued. Alexandra showed up exactly on time. She turned out to be a bit older than me, and she behaved very confidently, so I felt a little shy at first, not knowing how to tell her about Elijah and me. Finally, I just threw the whole truth on her, neither trying to hide it nor make it easier for her. And you know what happened next? While Alexandra listened to me, she remained absolutely calm and didn't seem surprised at all. She told me that she didn't care about Elijah's side affairs, since she was absolutely sure that Elijah would never leave her. The fact was, he worked for her father's company, and if Elijah dared to offend her, it would mean an end to his career. I simply didn't know what to say. I was shocked by her reaction, and so our meeting came to an abrupt end. But I still thought about it a lot. Is this really that open world that I was trying to fit into? So as a result, I made a decision. I would go back to my parents and start from scratch. I will start college, I will find a good job, and I will try to keep my social circle free from people whose actions make me ashamed.